This is the Miracle Recap. I'm really happy that you're here and that we continue with the review of the first 50 lessons, and we go beyond that. But it's like this is the first 50 that we're in, and today it's from 21 till 27. Okay, so lesson 27, lesson 21 to lesson 27. Now, there's always a central theme, and today that, to me, what came to me is this, is like fear. Fear is misperception, and that's easy to recognize. Of course, you must be afraid when you misperceive. If you know this from your human experience too. You walk through the forest, you see in the dark, it's like half dark, you see like a plastic bag waving in the wind, and you think it is some kind of animal. That's easy. That's misperception. You didn't see it right. So of course it scares you, because everything that is different scares you. You put a lot of emphasis and security on the idea of what you see. And what you see seems to be familiar to you, and you have surrounded yourself with it to be what you are. If that would suddenly shift and change, suddenly find yourself in a different place with other people or who knows what, that would cause like a reaction of, for sure, adaptation to the new situation, but also fear, because that's ingrained in the human mind, anything that has to do with change. But we go a little bit further today in fear's misperception. And that has to do with the fact that everything that you perceive with your human eyes is in fact causing you fear, but you got adjusted to it. So it's like you get used to it, and that's why you think, I'm okay. No, everything is fine. No problem. Yeah, it's fine. And in the meantime, you have nightmares and you don't even know why. The lessons are very helpful in this, because they all point to vision, to seeing, to see what is actually there. Not what you think is there, but what is actually there. And that is totally helpful. It's like that will help you to see through the appearances, through what you perceive, with all your valuing that you did before. Like now recognizing some of those are like, at least these are meaningless ideas that you see reflected. And on the other side, the true things, like the true ideas that are coming to you from outside of this frame, if you understand what I'm saying, is only comforting you. So that has an origin, that has a reason why this is so. And we're going to use chapter 2 it is. We're going to use chapter 2 and from the textbook, just to get a clear picture, just to see a little bit about the origin, but also like, oh yeah, wait a minute, aha, now I see something there. So this has everything to do with what is called the spiritual eye. Now, we love the idea that the spiritual eye is your third eye and all this. It's like you can make nice pictures of it. It's like, oh yeah, I see with my spiritual eye. But then what is it actually that you're seeing? Because it has nothing to do with form any longer. It doesn't have to do with differences anymore. It doesn't have to do with comparisons. Now, these are the things that you actually use in your perception as a human being. So you can understand that in these lessons, in these 21 to 27 lessons, that there's a big shift going on, because you're a little bit like, almost like shaken out of your conceptual and perceptual, sorry for the word, poop, because it's like you were so in it that you really believed that was your world and that was your reality. And now you're going to say the opposite thing. Like, I want to see, above all else I want to see. I don't want any of this. I want to see. I want to know what's actually going on. I want to know. I want to know who I am. How can I function if I don't even know who I am? and it's reasonable. So these are all reasonable, say, goals to achieve, and they're greatly supported by the universe for you to discover this. But there's also there's also a lot of resistance in accepting these ideas. That's why we're here. Okay, that makes it simple. The resistance to accepting these ideas is okay. We're learning to deal with that. Just as you, say, adapted yourself to the idea of fear, which was always misperception. Now we don't have to adjust to that any longer. Now we allow even the fear to come up, to feel that fear. It's okay. Like, it is a sign that I'm misperceiving. What am I actually looking at? Why am I afraid of this? Why is this bringing up so much fear? And that's, of course, your individual recognition. So, like, you recognize the things that are scaring you, and that seem to be completely normal human things to perceive. And so we go deeper in that. You can discover that now. It's like we go deeper and deeper into that, because there's a big shift occurring. Something is changing. Now here in our new discovery of seeing it in a different way, in fact, we don't even need the world for that. That is the amazing thing. So now we were so focused on the world, we were so focused on what is the world telling us and how do I need to behave? I'm not sure. I don't follow the rules by the world because they change all the time and I have no idea what the meaning of them is. I try to adjust. I try to do all the things that I'm so-called being asked as a human being, but it doesn't seem that easy to me. I get confused in that all the time. Well, that's great. That's wonderful. Now, in our new way of seeing, you could say, that we are discovering, we see that we don't need the world to tell us who we are. We don't need the world to dictate to us, like, this is the way you should think, or this is where you need to adjust to. That there are rules in the world, and you see this in the lessons too, that there are rules in the world that you will have to follow up on. It's obvious. Like in the regular, if there's a traffic light that suddenly is red, you might as well stop. It's not that suddenly you don't have to do that because you do A Course in Miracles and there's no such thing as this world. Well, you will probably get a different experience of yourself. Not to scare you. No, because this world functions by rules. Because this world is made up. Like communication, as God communicates, is whole and is not according to rules. Like it's not according to rules that it functions. No, it's according to the whole idea of oneness that it's functioning. And the world is chaos. So you need rules to function in the world, but it doesn't make you let the world dictate you what to do and how to think. You just follow these rules not to, just for the practicality of the day. So this is obviously something that you need to discover how that works for you. That takes some time to settle, but then it will be clear and it will not be a big deal. Now you can say like, okay, so do I need to lock my car when I park my car in the city? Do I need to lock my car because I know that there's only me, there's nobody else there? Like, no, you just, you're in your dream. In your dream, when you see a car, you see a separate object. Now you might as well close it because you believe that there's a car. So don't fool yourself in this. You believe that there's a car that you can lock. So then the whole package like comes with somebody that wants to try to get into your car. You know, that's just part of the, say, construct that you believe to be functioning in. See, this is an essential, example, because now it becomes clear that, oh yeah, this is a dream. My world, as I made it, is a dream. It's not a reality. Now I use it, in fact, to live my separation. And that shifts too, of course. The function of the dream is shifting too. Because in our change, in the change that is occurring within us, we recognize that we can see, and that in fact we see that what is given us by insight or by impartation or by the light that we are experiencing, we see that we're not separate from God. We see that there's a continual, in fact, provision as you were used to manage your own life, navigate your directions and all this. Now suddenly there's a guide. There's a Holy Spirit guiding you to do all these things for you. So with a purpose, so that you can be at peace and that nothing needs to disturb that. This is what you learn in the Course in Miracles. This is in fact where the seeing comes in. So it's not so much a doing of you, like looking with your eyes like who knows how to see right through things. No, it's more like you recognize the truth behind all of this in the whole setup, in the whole construct of the dream, which is almost like you could compare it to a balloon that you're looking at. This is my construct, this is my balloon. I'm thinking that I live in that and am part of that, and I'm the dream itself too. But now I can look at it and see that, in fact, my love for God and God's love to me is one of a kind and is extending forever in all directions, communicating with all aspects of creation, giving me the peace that I can understand now, because literally this peace is what I am. So all of this has to do with, in the world it is all doing, getting, comparing, competing, all the stuff connected to that. In your seeing, it is just being and not anything else. So it is quiet, it is peaceful, it is incredible synchronicity. Like everything falls into place continuously, expanding forever, increasing joy, increasing happiness, increasing recognition. When the lies of the serpent were introduced, they were specifically called lies because they are not true. So the lies of the serpent. When man listened, all he heard was untruth. He does not have to continue to believe what is not true unless he chooses to do so. All of his miscreations can disappear in the well-known twinkling of an eye, because it is a visual misperception. Now this makes sense. When the lies of the serpent were introduced, when they were specifically called lies, because they are not true. And when man listened, all he heard was untruth. He does not have to continue to believe what is not true unless he chooses to do so. All of his miscreations can disappear in the well-known twinkling of an eye, because it is a visual misperception. Now that goes really far. So the garden and Adam falling asleep, that's where we're going. That's where we're heading now. Here it comes. Man's spiritual eye can sleep, but as will shortly appear in the notes, a sleeping eye can still see. One translation of the fall, a few emphasized by Mary Baker Eddy, and worthy a note, is that a deep sleep fell upon Adam. While the Bible continues to associate this sleep as a kind of anesthetic utilized for protection of Adam during the creation of Eve, Mrs. Eddy was correct in emphasizing that nowhere is there any reference made to his waking up. While Christian Science is clearly incomplete, this point is much in its favor. Okay, so here we are in the Garden of Eden, just being tempted by the snake, who was sharing all kinds of lies, and suddenly like there was a sleep. Adam fell asleep, and nowhere else in the Bible it says that he woke up. So how do we have to look at this story then? Like, did they actually were they actually casted out of the garden and sent to hell? You could say. Is Adam removed from heaven? Well, that's an interesting idea. So in the stories in Genesis, you read it that he was suddenly he had to go out. God was like moving him away out of the garden. Now this happened during his sleep. What is that? You could say, what is that? But a nightmare. A nightmare in which you think you can be separate, and that God, the one who created you as the love himself, as an extension of his own love, would he ever cast you out of heaven, into hell? No, of course not. So that is a nightmare. That's a dream. It is not. There's nothing true about it. Now, that makes it easier to grasp what is going on. Like also in your own idea of what went wrong. Like, am I actually guilty of that or not? Like, what went wrong that I thought I could be separate from God? What did I do to, say, deserve all the hell that I'm going through right now? Now, this is an important question. So, sinking a little deeper down into that is like nobody wants you. Like, no God wants you to suffer. No God wants you to be in pain or anything like that. So what is the situation that I appear to be in then? That must be a dream, like an Adamic dream, as if I'm Adam still sleeping and, say, just chased out of heaven by God into hell. See, that is a nightmare. That's the nightmare that you live in as a human being. You think that there's no place for you in heaven. And this is also the one of the obstacles, you could say, or one of the difficulties that you encounter returning back to the experience of heaven, which is an experience which is you. It's like you are the kingdom of heaven. And now why wouldn't you want to return back to yourself? That could be a good question too. Like, but it's not easy, because it is easy in the end, but you have a reason why you think this is a reality. Now, you confirm this all the time in the way that you respond to others, in the way that you defend yourself. Defending yourself is like a sure sign that you think that you are in the place where you find yourself. Why else would you want to defend yourself? Did you do that? No, I didn't do that. That was my neighbor who did that. Or something like this. Like, there's, in human communication, there's that going on all the time. So there's a pointing of fingers and all this. Like, that's the cause of it. That's the cause of it. As long as it isn't me and I'm getting out pretty good, then I'm fine. But here in the Course in Miracles, in doing the lessons, it's like, no, you got to face it. It's me doing that. Like, and I want to see differently. I want to have a whole different vision, because I'm completely stuck in it as a human being. I'm completely stuck in my own construct. I don't know how to escape hell. I'm in hell, I can admit that, because what I experience is not happy, it's not loving, it's sickness, pain, death, limitation, disaster, after another. Like, that just keeps on going. You solve one thing and the other already appears again, and on and on and on, until you pick up the book, A Course in Miracles, and you start reading, or you start doing the lessons, reading the text, and you discover there's a different way of looking at this. Wow, I must have asked for this. So now I'm following the guidance. I resign as my own teacher in the whole story. I cannot teach myself to get out of this. That's why there's a guide, and it's given to me. So I receive that. And this is why I do the exercises. The history of man in the world as he saw it has not been characterized by any genuine or comprehensive reawakening or rebirth. This is impossible as long as man projects in the spirit of miscreation. It still remains within him to project as God projected his own spirit to him. In reality, this is his only choice, because his free will was made for his own joy in creating the perfect. So the history of man in the world as he saw it has not been characterized by any genuine or comprehensive reawakening or rebirth. The reason why this is still like this, like there's nowhere in the Bible where Adam is waking up, where he suddenly sees what's occurring, where he suddenly receives, say, spiritual vision and becomes an awakened mind or an enlightened mind. No, he keeps on suffering. He keeps on projecting the whole idea of being separate. And you recognize it in your own life too. It's like you cannot stop yourself. It seems like you cannot stop yourself from projecting into the future what you already know, for some kind of safety, for some kind of familiarity, because you look for the familiar, at least to have that certainty. And this is too little for you, so it never satisfies, but it gives you a sense of comfort and safety. And this is, keeping you in the middle of the road. In other words, it becomes very flat. It becomes very boring in that sense, or very depressed. It can never expand because you wouldn't dare to. Like you would be afraid to go left or afraid to go right. Like all this is what you experience as a human being, continuous limitation, and you adjust and you adjust and you adjust. So now, if you see that God projected spirit into man, it's like that is given to you. That is something that you can discover in you. And by doing the exercises, you will discover that. Simply, certainly, confirming to you what is truly reliable, what is truly bringing you peace. So, because now look at yourself. I mean, that's always the best. Like, look at yourself. How are you doing today? Now, did you experience fear of any kind, or maybe yesterday, or maybe you woke up in the middle of the night? Are you experiencing fear? See, experiencing fear is in a certain sense a sure sign that you're trusting your own navigation, that you're trusting your own guidance. And that is obvious. Of course you are afraid then. And it's good to let that be present with you, like feel that, because then you see what you're actually doing. Now, to go one step deeper into that is what you are actually doing is saying to God, like, wait a minute, with this spirit stuff, with the spirit stuff, I think I can handle this. So what do? You, in fact, climb on the seat of God, you could say, and think that you can manage and help yourself and navigate yourself. Now, that is ultimately very scary because you're not God. God gave everything to you, and there is nothing that you need to navigate or guide. That is all given to you. You don't have to manage yourself, because doing so brings you in deep fear that will never be quiet. Now, you don't believe that right away. That's why this takes a moment for it to settle, you could say. And you fully admitting to what you're actually doing is climbing on the seat of God, thinking that you can manage this, is something that you don't really realize, that you don't really want to take a look at. Because it seems like very ignorant, and it is, of course. And to admit that is always like a step. And you were so used to it, and you did all kinds of things to make it work. And it didn't work. So if you can admit that, that saves so much trouble. You could say, then suddenly there is peace. Now I don't have to maintain myself. I don't have to survive here. No, I don't need to do all the things that I normally do as a human being. I can let go of that. Now this is exactly what we train in the first 50 lessons. Continuously letting go of what I think is going on because I'm wrong. I didn't get it. I don't know anything about what is going on. I have no idea what is going on. So I have to resign as my own guide, as my own teacher, as my own life coach. I step out of that and allow the light, the love to guide me. Just like that. Because it is ready. When I give the space for it, literally in my consciousness, it is there immediately. And we'll see that in later lessons too, is that like the voice of God is speaking to me all through the day. There's literally nothing to fear. Huh? So now here in 21 to 27, we're still in the kind of in the middle of the confusion about what's going on here. Can I trust what I see or not? Does it have anything to do with who I truly am? No. And what then? So we're in this transition moment in the lessons. So like I said, if you feel like reading this with me, you're welcome to do so, and I can make it a little bigger. So, and you open your microphone and you start reading. So I'll start with 21. I am determined to see things differently. What I see now are but signs of disease, disaster, and death. This cannot be what God created for his beloved Son. So, the very fact that I see such things is proof that I do not understand God. Therefore, I also do not understand his Son. What I see tells me that I do not know who I am. I am determined to see the witnesses to the truth in me, rather than those which show me an illusion of myself.
Ce que je vois est une forme de vengeance. Le monde que je vois n'est guère la représentation de pensées aimantes. C'est une image d'attaque contre tout, partout. C'est tout sauf le reflet de l'amour de Dieu et de l'amour de son Fils. Ce sont mes propres pensées d'attaque qui font surgir cette image. Mes pensées aimantes me sauveront de cette perception du monde et me donneront la paix que Dieu avait l'intention que j'aie.
Je peux échapper de ce monde en abandonnant les pensées d'attaque. En cela réside le salut et nulle part ailleurs. Sans pensée d'attaque, je ne pourrais pas voir un monde d'attaque. Lorsque le pardon permet à l'amour de revenir à ma conscience, je vois un monde de paix, de sécurité et de joie. Et c'est cela que je choisis de voir à la place de ce que je regarde maintenant.
I do not perceive my own best interests. How could I recognize my own best interests when I do not know who I am? What I think are my best interests would merely bind me closer to the world of illusions. I am willing to follow the guide God has given me to find out what my own best interests are, recognizing that I cannot perceive them by myself.
I do not know what anything is for. To me, the purpose of everything is to prove that my illusions about myself are real. It is for this purpose that I attempt to use everyone and everything. It is for this that I believe the world is for. Therefore, I do not recognize its real purpose. The purpose I have given the world has led to a frightening picture of it. Let me open my mind to the world's real purpose by withdrawing the one I have given it and learning the truth about it.
My attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. How can I know who I am when I see myself as under constant attack? Pain, illness, loss, age, and death seem to threaten me. All of my hopes and wishes and plans appear to be at the mercy of a world I cannot control. Yet perfect security and complete fulfillment are my inheritance. I have tried to give my inheritance away in exchange for the world I see, but God has kept my inheritance for me. My own real thoughts will teach me what it is.
Above all else, I want to see, recognizing that what I see reflects what I think I am. I realize that vision is my greatest need. The world I see attests to the fearful nature of the self-image I have made. If I would remember who I am, it is essential that I let this image of myself go. As it is replaced by truth, vision will surely be given me. And with this vision, I will look upon the world and on myself with charity and love.
So you see, what is being asked is quite big. It's quite a change. Huh? So it's like I've used everything to prove that this world is real, in fact, and that I'm real as I see myself. And now I'm not going to do that anymore. So it's like that's a huge step. That's a huge step. Now I'm going to say that vision is my only need. It's like when you start saying that kind of expression, something happens with you, because it is like you break the secret, you break the thing that you would never say, you know, to question your own reality as you see yourself. Now, to admit that you don't know who you are is quite something. It's almost like you fall into a void, because now what? What is going to tell you who you are? Like you have used the world for that, and let the world confirm who you are, and constantly asking for attention and confirmation, and expressing all your uncertainties in order to receive safety, comfort, and all this. So there has been an exchange. Literally, you have used the world for that, to let it confirm that what you question yourself. So why would you use the world to confirm that? The only reason for that is because you question who you are. You don't know who you are. Now you can keep up an appearance of who you think you are, and you're very busy doing that. As a human being, you're very busy doing that. Now you admit, after doing these lessons, you admit, I don't know who I am. I just don't know. I want to find out. I want to discover who I am. But I cannot make that anymore. Now I was able to make it to a certain degree. I'm this. I'm the garbage man. I'm the who knows what. I'm the CEO of. I'm the Oracle CEO, or whatever. Like I can prove constantly. I can say ask for approval of who I think I am by, in fact, taking position and defending that. No, I'm really good at that. I'm really good at that. And now listen to me. I know how this is working. Or listen to me doing that. Like constantly, but constantly. The only thing I ask for is confirmation, because I really question deeply who I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't need confirmation. Why would I need confirmation if I know who I am? Now, see, that comes with, in fact, handing over all the activities that you normally do as a human being in order to exist. Because your existence is what the confirmation is that you are you. So here we are. Now, are you going to admit that you are not you? See, that's a crazy question, you could say, but it's actually not. This is really what is asked. Like, if I have sufficient pain in my experience, like if I see that it really doesn't work to continuously defend myself, then what would the next step be? In fact, that I'm open to receive a different way of looking at myself. Now this is where something can occur. There has to be a different way. Isn't phrase that will come to your mind. There has to be a different way, because this, what I'm doing here, doesn't make any sense. I remember that from my early, say, awakening period, that I started to see that any lie that I could bring into the world would just be confirmed. People would automatically trust that, what I say. So, and then it was like lie after lie. I didn't even know what I was thinking. I couldn't even, say, like, hold it together anymore. Like, I didn't even know which lies I told who in order to exist. And that collapsed, that fell apart, of course. So then you see, like, well, whatever it is, I want to know the truth. If the truth is true, and that is my certainty, I want to know what that is. Because I'm so sick of my own lies. I don't want to adjust. I don't want to lie. I don't want to fake. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to do all these things that I've been doing, in fact, to make myself to who I am and feel, at least shortly, good about something that I call myself, by feeling the confirmation that somebody says or gives to me. So this is a whole different kind of conditioning. So in fact, there's only one condition left over, and that is admitting, I don't know. I don't know who I am, and I want to know. I want to see who I truly am. I want to see what's really going on. That's my only desire, you could say. The history of man in the world as he saw it has not been characterized by any genuine or comprehensive awakening, reawakening or rebirth. This is impossible as long as man projects in the spirit of miscreation. It still remains within him to project as God projected his own Son, a spirit, to him. In reality, this is the only choice. So you can learn, you could say, to project with God, to bring in the light and love that God created you to be. Now that's what you're going to project. That's what you're going to extend. In reality, this is the only choice, because his free will was made for his own joy in creating the perfect. So all fear is ultimately reducible to the basic misperception of man's ability to usurp the power of God. Thinking that you are able to handle the power of God. This is what you have done in your dream. That's why it was so scary. All fear is ultimately reducible to the basic misperception of man's ability to usurp the power of God. It is again emphasized that he neither can nor has been able to do this. In this statement lies the real justification for his escape from fear. This is brought about by his acceptance of the atonement, which places him in a position to realize that his own errors never really occurred. So it's like there's no retaliation, there's no punishment related to the fact that you fell asleep in your dream, in your nightmare. You made up that you were your own God in your world and you could do anything. You make it and you make it work, and before you know it you send rockets to Mars or who knows what. Like, just to give an example, it's like now you're the king in your own dream. That was, for a moment, it looked like that. Now, what did I do in that moment in my dream? I used the power of God to become maybe even greater than God. At least in my experience of myself. I had to confirm that, and I had to fight for it, but I got it together. I manipulated it all in the same direction. And yes, here it is. Now I'm the king of my own castle. I'm the greatest. In this dream, I'm the big god. In fact, was your dream that you tried to set up and it failed. And luckily you admitted it. That's why you're here. If you didn't admit it, you would really send rockets to Mars. Or any kind of crazy idea that you would hold on to prove that you're big. So here now it's like, okay, here it is. My pitiful that's so funny to me. So my pitiful gift to myself, here it is. And it's like, well, there's nothing there. So what are you afraid of? There's nothing on your hand. Like, you don't hand over anything. Nothing happened. No, welcome home. Like nothing, really nothing happened. It was just a nightmare, that's all. So God is still like loving you as he created you, like from day one. So this is really something else. But this is how practical it is. You can see yourself making up, sitting on the throne of God, trying to use his power for your own good and believing that it will work, and it fails and it doesn't work, and it works a little bit and it seems to be something, and there it falls again and it breaks again and makes you unhappy and restless. You wake up in the middle of the night in sweat and tears, like, I don't know how to do this any longer. Now this is the human story, but nothing happened, and you want to hand over this pitiful little thing that is nothing. God says, what are you talking about? Come on home. What are you talking about? There's nothing happened. So this is the atonement. In fact, recognizing that this big, huge thing that you thought was something collapses, and in fact nothing is left of it. And nothing happened, and that was all. What a incredible message. So this is what we see in chapter 2 then. So like I said, I'm going to bring in the two biblical references. In a moment, Corinthians 15, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye at the last trumpet, for the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Now this is literally the change that you're going through. It's like this sounding trumpet you hear, and it has literally waken you up. It is calling you home. And you were dead as a human being. In your dream you were dead. You were just imagining things. You were perceiving things, and there was nothing to be perceived. It was literally like a Fata Morgana. In the desert, there was nothing there, and you have every chance to wake up, because in fact nothing happened. You don't have to wait until God forgives you for everything that you have done, all this nonsense that has been sold to everyone. No, none of that is true. Of course not, because that would make this world again real, and there is no reality to this place. Now here, Genesis 2, and the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. And this is written in the dream of Adam. So you see that came from here. Man's spiritual eye can sleep, but as will appear in the notes, the sleeping eye can still see. One translation of the fall, a few emphasized by Mary Baker and worthy a note, is that a deep sleep fell upon Adam. And it was not God that put him under anesthetics in order to make a woman out of him. So that confusion is gone now too. So that whole story doesn't fly either. And so that's big too, of course, because you have read it, you have heard it, and you think that God created the woman, God created the man, and this and that. Like, yeah, not as you see it. And In fact, you are the embodiment of the male and the female. It's not that there are two of all of that or more. It's like that's just another confusion to make anything of this dream real, and there's no such thing. Like what would be your gender, recognizing that you are spirit? Now you tell me. So that's interesting, isn't it? Now you see, we have used everything to confirm our misidentification that has caused great fear, but it was based on misperception and thinking that you could climb on the throne of God and tell God what to do, how to manipulate your dream so that you look like the billion-dollar man, or who knows what you want to be. Seeing that all of that has not occurred and had no effects. Now, see, here's a really important part of that too. It's not that you cannot make an impressive dream that you believe in for a while. That's not the case. Like you can make as much of a detour as you want, but the thing is that it will never be real. Whatever you do, it will never be real. Whatever you make out of that, it will never be real. Now here's the absolutely great gift that is given in these few lessons and in this chapter 2. It's like literally there's given you a speed up. Imagine that you don't have to do all these things, that you don't have to suffer through lifetimes in order to become someone or to, in fact, bring yourself to a higher order of something. It's like, no. Recognizing that this is a dream where you can wake up right now, that you never left heaven, that nothing has occurred, is a celestial speed up of the greatest kind. And that is being offered here. That is what is the speed up. That's what brings you home just by you recognizing what is truly going on. That, yeah, like I said, that there's no world. There's nothing that can dictate you what you are, because what you are is already given and that can never change. So that's huge. Now this is lovely to share it with you. So I'm really happy that you were here today, and I look quickly at my clock and say, oh yeah, we're doing good. That's wonderful. So we have some time to relax with some music. So I'm really happy that you're here. I hope to see you next week and keep practicing the lessons, because there's an amazing speed up that is being offered. What else do you want to do than being yourself, truly, wholly, without effort? So it's really wonderful. Thank you so much.